Most people think anger is a reaction. The Stoics knew better. Anger is a decision made too fast. Every day, people give strangers, situations, and words the power to disturb their inner state. A comment ruins their mood. A delay ruins their day. A small disrespect ruins their peace. The Stoics saw this as weakness, not of character, but of awareness. To react to everything is to surrender control of your mind. And the Stoic ideal was simple. Nothing external deserves command over your inner world. Why react to nothing is misunderstood. This does not mean passivity. It does not mean weakness. It does not mean silence born of fear. It means choice. It means you decide when to respond, how to respond. Whether a response is even required, most people react automatically. Stoics responded deliberately. That difference separates calm from chaos, strength from fragility, mastery from slavery. The Stoic view of anger. Stoics did not see anger as power. They saw it as loss of command. When you are angry, your judgment narrows. Your words lose precision. Your actions betray your values. Anger feels strong, but it is strength leaking out. Marcus Aurelius wrote that anger is temporary madness, not poetic. Accurate. Why people bother you so easily? Here is the uncomfortable truth. People only bother you where you are still emotionally attached. You react because you need approval, you fear disrespect, you want control. Stoics trained themselves to remove these hooks. Once the hooks are gone, provocation has nothing to grab. The Stoic distinction that changes everything. The Stoics separated stimulus from response. Between what happens and how you react, there is a gap. In that gap lives freedom, power, peace. Most people collapse that gap. Stoics expanded it. They slowed the moment where others exploded. Why calm is the ultimate dominance? A calm person in a chaotic situation is the most dangerous presence in the room because they see clearly, they think longer, they are not predictable. Stoics understood that calm is not softness, it is control under pressure, and control is authority. What this video is really about. This is not about suppressing emotion. Stoics did not suppress, they transcended. They trained habits that made anger unnecessary. They built internal systems where offense could not enter unless invited. There are 6 Stoic habits that remove the need to react, not by force, by understanding. Once these habits are mastered, insults lose weight, provocation loses fuel, people lose leverage over you. You stop fighting anger, because anger stops visiting. Stoic realization. Hook lock. If someone can make you angry at will, they control you. If nothing can provoke you without permission, you control yourself. And self-control is the highest form of power. Stay until the end. Because once you master these habits, you will not need to prove strength. Your calm will do it for you. The Stoics never tried to control anger directly. They considered that foolish. They focused on something deeper, removing the conditions that create anger in the first place. You don't fight fire by arguing with flames. You remove the fuel. Stoic habit number 1. Detach your self-worth from other people's behavior. This is where most people fail. They say, I don't care what others think. But their reactions reveal the truth. A single comment can ruin their mood, change their behavior, trigger anger or defensiveness. The Stoics saw this clearly. If someone's words disturb you, it means your self-worth is still negotiable. Why people's actions trigger you. You are not reacting to the action itself. You are reacting to the meaning you assign to it. Disrespect hurts because you believe it lowers my value. Criticism hurts because you believe it threatens my identity. Stoics rejected both ideas. They believed value comes from character, not opinion, and character cannot be touched by insults. The Stoic reframe that disarms insults. The Stoics asked one simple question: does this affect my ability to act with reason? If the answer was no, the stimulus was irrelevant. Words do not damage character. Tone does not damage virtue. Opinions do not damage discipline. Once this is understood deeply, anger loses its justification. Stoic practice. When someone provokes you, pause and ask, has my character actually been harmed, or just my pride? Pride reacts. Character remains silent. Stoic habit number 2. Stop expecting people to be different. This habit alone eliminates half of human anger. Most anger comes from expectation. You expect people to be fair, people to be polite, people to be reasonable, and when they are not, you react. The Stoics considered this naive. They believed people act according to their nature, not your expectations. Why expectation creates constant anger. Every time you think, they shouldn't act this way, you are arguing with reality. Reality always wins. Stoics did not waste energy wishing people were different. They studied human behavior realistically. Selfish people act selfishly. Insecure people provoke. Ignorant people speak carelessly. None of this is surprising. Surprise is what creates anger. The Stoic position on human nature. Stoics accepted a hard truth. Most people are untrained, emotional, and reactive. Once you accept this, their behavior stops shocking you, and what does not shock you cannot anger you. Stoic practice. Replace, "I can't believe they did that," with, "This is exactly how someone like that behaves." Calm replaces frustration immediately. How these two habits work together. Habit number 1 removes personal offense. Habit number 2 removes false expectation. Together, they remove emotional hooks. No hooks, no reaction. People can speak, situations can unfold, noise can exist, but nothing enters your inner space without permission. The Stoic shift, critical moment. At this stage, something important changes. You stop asking, "How do I control my anger?" You start asking, "Why would I give this situation authority over me?" That question alone restores dominance. Why this makes you unbotherable when your worth is internal. Your expectations are realistic. Anger has nowhere to land. You may still notice disrespect, but noticing is not reacting. You see clearly, without being pulled emotionally. This is Stoic strength, quiet, unshakable, unavailable to manipulation. Stoic rule to lock in. You cannot control how people behave, but you can control whether their behavior matters. When it stops mattering, anger disappears on its own. Most people believe they get angry because something happened. The Stoics knew the truth. People get angry because they respond too quickly. Speed is the enemy of wisdom. And the Stoics slowed everything down. Stoic habit. 3. Create space between stimulus and response. This is the core of Stoic emotional control. Every situation has 3 stages. Something happens. An impression appears. A response follows. Most people skip step 2. They react instantly. Stoics did not. They paused, and in that pause, they reclaimed power. Why? Immediate reaction makes you weak. The moment you react instantly, you surrender control. You act from emotion, not reason. You become predictable. Predictability is weakness. Anyone who knows how to trigger you can control you. Stoics refused this vulnerability. They treated every provocation as a test of discipline. The Stoic pause. Why it works. When you pause, emotion peaks and begins to fall. The rational mind reactivates. Options become visible. Anger survives only in speed. Slow the moment, and anger loses momentum. Stoic practice. When provoked, do not speak immediately, do not explain, do not defend, count internally, breathe once. Observe the impulse. Most urges disappear if not obeyed instantly. Stoic habit. Number 4. Master silence as a form of dominance. Silence is misunderstood. People think silence means weakness, submission. Fierce Stoics saw silence as command. They knew words given too easily lose value. Silence forces others to reveal themselves. Why silence disarms provocation. Provocation needs participation. An insult requires reaction to complete itself. When you remain silent, the attacker feels exposed. The power dynamic shifts. Control returns to you. Silence denies them the outcome they want. The Stoic view of arguments. Stoics avoided arguments not because they were afraid, but because arguments reward emotion. You do not need to win arguments when you control yourself. Silence says, "I am not affected." and that message is devastating to those seeking reaction. Stoic practice. Ask yourself before speaking, is this response necessary, or am I trying to protect my ego? If it is ego, remain silent. Silence preserves dignity. How habit number 3 and number 4 work together. Habit number 3 slows the internal reaction. Habit number 4 controls the external expression. Together, they make you unreadable. People cannot trigger you, predict you, manipulate you. Calm becomes your default. The Stoic shift, critical. At this stage, something profound happens. You stop feeling the need to respond. Not because you are suppressing yourself, but because you no longer feel threatened. Threat perception is what fuels anger. Remove the sense of threat, and anger dissolves. Why this makes you intimidating without trying. A person who pauses, speaks less, reacts selectively, appears powerful, not loud, not aggressive, controlled. People sense it. They choose words carefully around you, not because you demand respect, but because your presence enforces it. Stoic rule to lock in. You do not need to respond to everything. You only need to respond correctly. Silence, when chosen consciously, is strength in its purest form. At this level, the Stoics stopped asking, how do I control anger? Because anger no longer arrived, not suppressed, not hidden, irrelevant. That is the final stage of Stoic mastery. Stoic habit. Number 5. Remove your need to win, explain, or prove. Most anger is not about the situation. It is about ego defense. You want to win the argument, correct the person, prove you were right, defend your image. The Stoics saw this impulse as the root of emotional slavery. The moment you need to prove something, you have already lost control. Why the need to prove creates anger. When you need validation, disagreement feels like attack. Silence feels like defeat. Criticism feels unbearable, so the mind reacts aggressively. Stoics removed this weakness by dissolving the need itself. They asked, why must I be understood? Most of the time, there is no rational answer. The Stoic realization. You do not need to correct everyone. You do not need to defend yourself. You do not need to win verbal battles. Truth does not require shouting, and character does not require explanation. Stoic practice. Before reacting, ask, if I stay silent, what do I actually lose? Usually, nothing but ego, and ego is not worth peace. Stoic habit. Number 6. Build a life so disciplined that small things lose power. This is the final habit, and it is the most important. The Stoics understood. People who are easily bothered are usually understructured internally. Their lives lack direction, discipline, purpose. So small disruptions feel massive. Stoics built lives so grounded that trivial events could not shake them. Why discipline makes you unbotherable? When your life has structure, you know where you are going, you know what matters, you know what does not. A rude comment cannot compete with a strong purpose. An inconvenience cannot shake a disciplined routine. Anger shrinks as meaning expands. Stoic practice. Ask yourself daily, what am I building that is bigger than my emotions? When your focus is long-term, short-term irritation becomes noise. The final Stoic identity shift. At this stage, something irreversible happens. You stop reacting not because you are holding back, but because there is nothing to react to. You no longer feel attacked easily. You no longer feel challenged by nonsense. You no longer feel the urge to engage. Your inner world is occupied by something stronger than anger. Purpose, discipline, reason. What life looks like when you react to nothing. You speak less, and when you speak, people listen. You move calmly, and others feel rushed around you. You remain steady, and chaos avoids you. People may try to provoke you. They fail, not because you resist, but because you are unavailable. The ultimate Stoic truth. Anger is not strength. Anger is information that you still care about the wrong things. When you stop caring where it doesn't matter, anger disappears naturally. Final Stoic closing, strong end. The world will always test you. People will always speak. Life will always apply pressure. The Stoic does not fight this. He prepares for it. When you master these 6 habits, you stop living reactively. You stop lending your peace to every passing moment. You stop being emotionally reachable. And that is not weakness. That is freedom. Reacting to nothing is not indifference. It is mastery.